Alan, I thought of you all weekend, and every Jew on the planet this weekend, especially those directly in the line of fire in Israel. Welcome to the program.
Well, thanks. You know, it was just 10 days ago or so that I had a 3-hour dinner with Benjamin Netanyahu, and we talked about all the threats that Israel was facing, but nobody could have imagined this: raping Jewish women, killing Jewish babies, and Harvard law students are supporting it. Harvard law students are supporting it. A group of about 30 Harvard organizations has supported Hamas and said this is all the blame of Israel. Women being raped is the fault of Israel. Barack Obama hasn't said an effing word about this. You can imagine if this were directed against any other minority?
No.
The president of Harvard hasn't said a word about this. The president of Yale, there's a demonstration today of Yale students. City University of New York Law School students put all the blame for this on Israel. These are our future leaders. These are the people today who are being educated to become the heads of our legislative, executive, and judicial branch, the heads of the New York Times. We are a country in moral crisis when you get our future leaders defending rapists and murderers and putting the blame on innocent people who just went to a concert. But let's remember where the real focus is. The real villain here is Iran. Iran put them up to it. We now know from Wall Street Journal reporting that there were meetings in Lebanon in which Iran gave them the green light, told them to go forward. And this will never end unless there's regime change in Iran. And the first step that should be taken is for the United States and Israel, together with the fleet that is now approaching the Eastern Mediterranean, to destroy Iran's nuclear reactor. They cannot come out of this thing a winner. Iran must come out of this thing losing its most valuable weapon, the nuclear arsenal. The United States and Israel and Saudi Arabia all would like to see Iran's nuclear arsenal destroyed. This is the time to do it, because the world will finally understand that Iran is behind all this, and that, you know, Hamas and Hezbollah are puppets, mere surrogates that just do the bidding of this horrible, horrible Nazi regime in Iran that will never be satisfied with the two-state solution, with the end of the occupation. They want Israel wiped off the map and every single Israeli Jew murdered. And if there was ever proof of that, it's this horrible genocide. You know, more people were killed this weekend, more Jews were killed than during Kristallnacht. And, you know, we keep forgetting that places like Harvard, were a center of Nazi support during the 1930s.
Oh, yeah.
Harvard University welcomed Nazis, gave them honorary degrees.
Columbia University did the same.
And Italian fascists, too. Columbia University named an Italian center in support of Mussolini. So, you know, do not count on American academic institutions. They produce our leaders. That's a problem, not a solution.
So, Alan, I hate to say it, but I think that America is. You're right. We're in a moral crisis right now. How you can watch this and not be just horrified at what you saw. But I believe, now Stu said it would take a few days or maybe even a week or so, but I believe as soon as that number becomes more people killed in Palestine than they slaughtered in Israel, I think people are going to immediately say, okay, that's enough. Now you're being a bully. No, I mean, I don't know what the number is or how you're going to wipe this out, but Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, those regimes have got to go. They've got to go, or you're never going to have any kind of peace.
You're right, but already there are people calling for a ceasefire.
I know.
With almost 1,000 Israelis, maybe even more, murdered, and perhaps as many as 100 held hostage. They're calling for a ceasefire. Let them first arrange for all the hostages to be sent back, then call for a ceasefire. But don't call for a ceasefire while there are 100 Israelis and some Americans and some people from other countries, Brits and other countries, that are being held hostage. And these are not soldiers. These are young women, babies, Holocaust survivors, people my age. I wish I were young enough to go to Israel and fight for them, because this is an existential battle, not only for the survival of the nation state of the Jewish people, but for the survival of democratic Western Judeo-Christian values, which are at stake here. The head mullah recently said Israel's first, but they're not the last. Christianity is being attacked all over the Middle East by radical Muslims who will not rest until every Jew and every Christian is dead or converted. So this is a fight for the survival of everything that we believe in, and America and Israel not only must stand together, but all Americans must stand together. Barack Obama has to get up and make a statement. Yeah, he's going to lose some friends among the Hamas people. The squad, the evil squad, must stand up in support of American and Israeli values, but they won't. The Harvard students, the Yale students, the City University of New York. I went to that university. I went to Brooklyn College. It was a great place. It was a free school for children of immigrants. Today, it's a radical hotbed of progressive, woke, and even communist involvement, where everything is the fault of, and by the way, they don't care about Israel. Everything is the fault of America. We're the villains. We're the big Satan, according to the students at the City University of New York, paid for by me and you, by taxpayer money, federal and state money. These are students and faculty and deans that are calling for the destruction of Israel. The faculty at City University of New York, the faculty of the law school, unanimously voted for a boycott against Israel. That's the faculty of a major law school in New York City. I mean, we are in a crisis of unknown dimensions, and we have to fight back with all of our moral force. We have the majority, but we are silent. It's the hundreds of students at these major universities that are speaking out, the thousands and tens of thousands who support the United States and support Israel. Let's remember here, this was as much an attack on the United States as it was in Israel. The Israelis are the victims directly, but this was an attempt to try to destroy efforts by the United States to bring about peace between the Saudis, the United States, and Israel. And so this is a direct attack on the United States.
I will tell you, Alan, I am with you on everything you say on this. Israel is our closest and our best ally, I believe. There's all kinds of biblical reasons to support Israel and stand on their side, but I am so concerned that our military has been so degraded. We are out of cash. We've used 7 years of our missiles and sent them over to Ukraine. It'll take us 7 years to be able to manufacture them and get them back online. And
now we're sending $6 billion to the terrorist regime of Tehran. First of all, there should immediately be a lawsuit brought by relatives of the victims of this terror, particularly Americans. There are many Americans who were killed and captured. Lawsuits brought to freeze the $6 billion and use it to compensate the victims of the Iranian hostilities. There's no reason why they should be able to get one penny. And Secretary of State Blinken, who does he think he's fooling when he says, this money isn't going to weapons, it's going to food? Iran's a rich country. They don't need our money to get them food and medicine. They can afford that. Just divert a little bit of it away from their terrorism and toward really humanitarian issues. So not a single penny should be allowed to be unfrozen and given to Iran, and we have to stop that. Lawsuits should be brought, and I would be happy to cooperate in any such lawsuit to freeze that money and make sure not a penny of it goes to support further terrorist acts. When you pay $6 billion to release an American hostage, what you're simply doing is raising the price for hostage taking, and there'll be more hostage taking. That's been the history. I wrote a book many years ago called Why Terrorism Works, and the answer was very simple: because we pay for it.
Right.
We reward it. And Iran is the winner here. They're sitting there in Tehran and they're gloating and they're laughing while Israelis and Palestinian mothers and children are suffering. They don't care. Not a single Iranian has been killed in this. They're the winners, and we can't allow them to be the winners. I have an article on today's New York Post saying that the only answer is to hold Iran completely responsible for this and treat them as if they were the ones who came to that art festival and raped and murdered innocent people.
This is one of the reasons, though, that I haven't voted for a Democrat, especially recently. The whole Iranian bill that they passed and that Donald Trump brought back, I mean, they've lost their mind on Middle East politics, in my opinion. And I know that I
agree with you. I agree with you. But look, I want to commend President Biden for the statement he made yesterday. It was a wholehearted, full-throated statement in support. Sending the Gerald Ford group of aircraft carrier into the Middle East is a good thing. So I don't want to make this into a partisan issue. I want Americans of all political stripes to support it and marginalize the Barack Obamas who won't say anything. I bet you Barack Obama will say something. I mean, his people will call him and say, look, you're being attacked, you're being criticized. He'll probably make some mealy-mouthed statement. But Barack Obama is one of the great villains of this piece. He called me into the Oval Office just before his second election, and he said, Alan, you know me for a long time. I was a teacher. He was a student at Harvard. He said, I have Israel's back. What I didn't realize is that he was painting a target on it and allowing Israel to be used as the scapegoat. As he was leaving office, he gave one last goodbye present to Israel. He allowed the United Nations to declare the Security Council, with the United States vote, to declare the Western Wall the holiest place of Judaism, something that's been part of Judaism for thousands of years, to declare that legally occupied territory. The Hadassah Hospital, the Hebrew University, all of which Barack Obama, allowed to be called illegally occupied territory. Shame on him.
Alan, best of luck. So our charity, my charity, is kicked into high gear, and we're doing everything that we can. And if there's anything we can help, there's no better group supporting Israel today than evangelical Christians. I don't speak on behalf of Jews or on behalf of Israel. I only speak on behalf of myself. But thank you, evangelical Christians. Thank you, Christians of every stripe and every dimension, for being so supportive of Israel. And I know you will continue to show that kind of support. I know I took my family almost 10 years ago to Auschwitz, and I told my kids to read up. They could pick anybody they wanted to pick, but they had to be one of the righteous among the nations. And I told them now is the time to decide who we are. And we stand proudly with Israel and the Jewish people. Thank you.